can see, the room itself is pretty stark for what's in here. But my favorite part was these beds that it's a twin bed with the hardest mattress imaginable to mankind. However, that being said, it counters with easily the best pillow I've ever slept on in my entire life. So we're already learning about balance here.
Most people go to the gym to get stronger. I decided to move to China, where training has been brutal enough to shape legends for over 1,500 years. These are Shaolin monks, famous for turning their bodies into something almost superhuman. Horse stance for hours, conditioning, breath work that calms the mind while the body burns. And for the next 90 days, this is my life. Shaolin training isn't just about fighting. It was founded in the 5th century, and for centuries monks trained to defend the temple, but more importantly, to master themselves. Discipline, endurance, focus. These are muscles I want to train just as much as strength. The question is, how do I do that? Well, modern science can actually help explain what they've been doing for over a millennium. This is where every student starts. Simple, but not easy. At first glance, it's just a stance. Legs bent, back straight. But within seconds, my body is shaking. The horse stance, or ma bu, as they call it, is the foundation of Shaolin training. In Chinese martial arts, it builds stability and patience, the root of every strike. From a scientific perspective, this is isometric training, muscles firing without movement. It floods the body with lactic acid, forcing adaptation. But it's not just the body. Neuroscience shows that holding still under stress rewires the brain's tolerance for discomfort. Basically, I'm teaching my nervous system to stay calm while everything else inside me wants to quit. And the breathing? That's Qigong. Slow, deep, controlled. Shaolin monks see it as internal power, training the mind as much as the body. Historically, Qigong was developed for longevity and health, a way to balance energy after intense combat practice. But the master here also tells me that it can be used for explosive power. They do this by pushing and pulling qi through their body like the tides of the ocean. They're always returning to the center. Science shows that Qigong stimulates the vagus nerve, lowering heart rate and cortisol. It improves oxygen efficiency and brings the body back from panic. What looks like ancient mysticism is actually advanced nervous system training. This comes in handy when you're then put under brutal physical stress and what the Shaolin practice simply calls conditioning. Striking wood, punching sandbags, even taking blows to the body, a practice designed to make the body unbreakable. Physiologically, this is progressive overload through microtrauma. Repeated impact toughens bone density, builds fascia strength, and rewires pain tolerance. The brain releases endorphins and adapts to signal less danger with each strike. Over time, the body interprets pain as information, not panic. That sounds all good once you get to that point, but that doesn't soften each kick from the master that it takes to get there. Finally, this all culminates into forms. Choreographed sequence passed down for generations. To outsiders, this can look like dance, but each motion encodes fighting techniques and philosophy. They're moving meditation where repetition becomes discipline. Neuroscience calls this procedural memory. Each repetition strengthens synapses in the motor cortex, building muscle memory until the move becomes instinct. This is how monks transform skill into second nature. Not by thinking, but by engraving motion into the nervous system. I came here thinking I was fit, but here, even the basics feel like moving mountains.
Put in a new form, and it is shredding me. I can barely catch my breath.
Neuroscience shows that repeated exposure to discomfort strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part of your brain. In other words, enduring pain literally rewires you for resilience. But it's not just a brutal martial art. After hours of punishing training, Shaolin monks return to stillness. Meditation has been part of the temple's practice since the very beginning. When monks meditate, even the fingers matter. Each one carries a meaning, a reminder of the qualities that we're trying to cultivate. The thumb represents the universe, the divine, the greater truth beyond ourselves. Anytime it joins another finger, it's a reminder that our small qualities connect back to something bigger. The index finger stands for wisdom and clarity. In Buddhism, it also represents the ego, the I. When it meets the thumb, it symbolizes transcending the ego through knowledge. The middle finger is strength. It's discipline, endurance, the ability to stay centered when things get hard, which is basically Shaolin training in a nutshell. And finally, the ring finger represents earth and sky, grounding and expansion. It's the balance between the physical body and the spiritual world. When you press this finger, you're calling in harmony and stability. So when Shaolin monks sit in meditation, they're not just being still. Their hands are telling a story. Wisdom, strength, balance, and how it all connects to the universe. Even in silence, there's a practice. Modern science shows meditation reduces cortisol, increases gray matter in areas tied to focus and emotional regulation, and shifts brainwaves into states of calm alertness. Where training pushes the body past its limits, meditation rewires the mind to stay clear and controlled. As I walk through these gates, the weight of 1,500 years of training presses down. Generations of monks have broken themselves in this discipline, only to come back stronger.
Yeah. This is gonna be an absolute trip.